Hi, my name is Gloria Heck, and I'm here to give you a March market update, so hang on. Welcome to the monthly market report for March 2022. I'm thrilled to be here today to talk about three of the most important topics in the housing market. I'll be going over home prices and answer the questions you have about home prices accelerating. I'm going to talk about supply and demand and how that is impacting home price appreciation today. And then I'm going to wrap up on net worth as I discuss some of the long-term financial benefits of owning a home. Now, I did mention a moment ago that this is March of 2022. And truly, it's hard to believe that it was just 2 years ago that a worldwide pandemic really came upon us, swept through the nation, and fundamentally changed a lot of what we do. Housing certainly wasn't immune to that, you know. A lot of the things have changed in the housing market. And I think one of the biggest things is the change in home price appreciation. So that's where I want to start today and really reflect on what's happening over the past couple of years. In 2020, CoreLogic said that we had 6% home price appreciation throughout the year. That's pretty significant. If you think about prior to the pandemic, a normal year of price appreciation was about 3.8%. So 6% is really significant. We all saw that continue and unfold in 2021, and we saw home appreciation that was more than double that. So really, it's significant that home price appreciation over the past 2 years, that is largely due to supply and demand. More buyers in the market than we've had homes available. So I want to walk through this and what it means going forward as we look at the home price forecast as well. I think one of the best places to start is with a deep dive into home price appreciation from last year. So the answer to the question, are home prices still accelerating? The answer is yes. We can look at this graph and see percent year-over-year price increases by month, going all the way back to 2021 to January of 2021. If we look over the left side, in January 21, we saw 10% home price appreciation. So year over year, from January of 2020 to January of 2021, home prices increased by 10%. Then, as you can see, month over month, it really started to accelerate through the year. When we hit the summer, you see July, August, and so forth. It started out to level at about 18%. Very significant home price appreciation. But that's when we started to have the conversation. And we started hearing experts saying, are home prices going to decelerate? Meaning, will prices continue to increase, but just at a slower pace? The reality of it is we saw that kind of 18% hold steady for a while. Then into December of 2021 and now January of 2022, which we can see at the latest data we have, that green bar is showing that home prices are starting to tick back up. That's again a direct result of high buyer demand and low supply. So buyers really are competing for homes, and that's causing home prices to tick up. Now, if we look at this on a state-by-state basis, this is a really interesting map. It shows changes in the prices in the last year from FHFA. This is really interesting because we can see is that FHFA shows that the national average is 17.5% price appreciation last year. Some of the states were higher and some of the states were lower. But you can see across the board, the reality is we didn't have depreciation in any state. Home prices were rising throughout the country. Again, a direct result of supply and demand. National averages over the last 5 years were 54.5% price appreciation. So inventory is low and buyer demand is still high. This is what we are starting to see year after year, increasing price appreciation. And that really exploded in 2021. But if you look back at the last 5 years, home appreciation has been incredibly significant. Now, where this gets even more interesting is if you look at the past 30 years, changes in prices since 1991. If you go all the way back 30 years, the national average is 258% home appreciation. This is huge. This becomes a really important conversation as you ask, is now a good time to buy? Should I buy a home? Am I buying at the top of the market? Is my home investment going to be valuable? And if we can go back 30 years and we can look over time, I would ask the question, if you could go back and buy a house in 1991, would you do it? I think looking at this data, the answer is clear. Home prices have definitely appreciated in value and have been historically a very strong investment. The question becomes, as people are trying to decide, but what's the next move forward? What's going to happen? Everybody keeps asking what's going to happen in this coming year. We have to look at home price forecasts for 2022. And this is the chart that I'd like to show because it averages out what the experts are saying. We follow 7 key entities who forecast out home prices throughout the rest of the year. When you look at the average, you can see they're projecting roughly 6.1% appreciation through the rest of the year. So CoreLogic is on the high end with 9.6. Zelman's is on the low end right now with about 3%. But the reality of it is all of the experts are saying that home values are projected to continue increasing throughout the year. And that again is a direct result of supply and demand. The reality of it is we are going to see these forecasted in an upward direction going forward as we continue to have low inventory in the market. You know, there's a nod towards more sellers coming to the market this spring and more new construction, and that could all ease some of these high home price appreciation values as we see more inventory become available. But what we're seeing is experts are all projecting home prices to rise. So what I want to stop here a moment and talk about supply and demand, because you heard me mention this several times, that the inventory and the supply and demand balance is really what determines home prices. And I think this next graph is a really good foundational element to start that conversation. And this is how the market impacts or inventory impacts home prices. So right now we are squarely in what you would call a seller's market. We've all heard this. We've all felt this. And that's what you can see there over in the blue bar. Essentially, it means more buyers in the market than there are homes available for sale. They're competing for homes. They're driving prices up. That's the general law of supply and demand. Anytime there are more buyers for an item than there are people selling that item, prices will rise because people are willing to pay more for them. Now, in a neutral market, that is where it kind of balances out, and a buyer's market is where there are more homes available than buyers interested in purchasing them. So that causes prices to go down. When we're in a seller's market today, and I think you know the question that people want to know, what does this mean from a listing perspective? When we look at the number of listings in the market, we've heard that inventory is historically low. But what does that really look like? So I'm going to show you right now new listings, and they are actually falling dramatically right now. This is a look at 2021 month by month. New listings that came to the market in thousands. And what you can really see over on the right side is October, November, December, listings really started to decline once again. So not as many listings coming to the market towards the end of the year. Now, this is pretty typical for the housing market because we generally see listings soften in the winter and then picking back up during the spring. And you can see that trend definitely followed over this past year. There aren't enough homes on the market. They're not staying on the market. They're not staying active as listings because they're going pending quickly. They sold quick. And you know, the reality is anytime we start to see inventory really low like this and prices start to rise, when people hear that prices are rising so significantly, and inventory is certainly driving this in today's market. As prices are high, they're starting to wonder if the market's going to crash. They remember prices skyrocketing and they worry about the housing bubble. And the data today shows, this is really interesting study from Realtor.com, and it shows that worries about a housing bubble still persists. And now this is the percentage of people who believe there's a housing bubble where they live. And so among consumers surveyed, 77% feel that there's a housing bubble in their market. That's 3 out of every 4 people feel like this is a bubble and it's about to burst. Now, you know you've been following along with me, and I've shown you the data month after month, and we're not headed towards a housing bubble. The data just doesn't show that. So what I want to do here is really paint that picture from an inventory perspective, the supply and demand that we're talking about today. And this next slide shows that inventory of homes today is nothing like the last time. So this is a month's supply of existing homes for sale in December of each year. Now you can see on the left side, the 4 years of the housing crash. And on the right side, the past 4 years. So let me break this down for you. The orange bars on the left, 2000 through 2010, show that there was a buyer's market. We had an oversupply of homes. So you remember that graph that I just shared with you on sellers, neutral, buyer's markets? These bars show that we were in the buyer's market when the housing market crashed. 9.6 months of inventory in 2007, 9.4 in 2008, significantly higher than where we are today. And today, you can see on the right side, over in the blue bars, 2018 to 2020. So even in 2018, we had 3.7 months of inventory in the market. It was significantly higher than where we are today, kind of a record low. And that low was 3.7 months of inventory. And we were just going into the pandemic. And then look at 2020 and 2021, simply not enough homes to go around. So when there aren't enough homes on the market, that drives prices up. But it is a significantly different market than when we had the housing crash. So when people remember the housing crash, we have to remind them that inventory is in a totally different place today. So yes, prices are rising based on supply and demand, but we are nowhere near where we were the last time. Now, the interesting thing about this as well, I told you I wanted to walk you through buyer demand as well. So take a look at this. We hit a record high, a 15-year record high of existing home sales in 2021. So this is the number of existing home sales from 2019 to 2020 and 2021. You can see 2019 was 5.4 million sales. We broke that record in 2020 with 5.6 million. And in 2021, we crushed the record with 6.1 million houses sold in the country. That says that buyers are out there. They're looking for homes. They're purchasing homes. And they're actively in the process. So we have a high buyer demand. We have a low inventory. Significantly different fundamentals than when the housing market burst. The truth is that people who are purchasing these homes can afford them this time. And I say that because I want to share this data here that shows you credit scores are nothing like the last time either. This is the volume of loans in billions with a credit score of less than 620. So take a look at those orange bars, 2003 to 2007, significantly more loans issued with credit scores less than 620 than we have now. Where we are now between 2008 and 2021, you can see those lending standards have gotten much tighter, meaning that buyers are essentially showing the credentials that they'll be able to afford their home, and that's what's leading to the loan opportunities. So very different. The lending standards are creating a landscape that's nothing like the last time. Credit scores are definitely tighter this time around. And if you're worried about any other fundamentals of the market, let's think about equity for a second. Homeowners have significantly more equity today, so they're in a much better financial position as homeowners in this process. And if you're worried, I encourage you to go back and look at the data from my last monthly report in February. There was a report on the forbearance and foreclosures. That update was so eye-opening because the data simply shows that we're not headed for a foreclosure crisis. We won't see a wave of inventory coming to the market that is going to significantly tip the scales into a buyer's market. There just isn't enough homes going into foreclosure. We're so grateful. That means that more people are staying in their homes. So the fundamentals of this market are really a lot different. And the reality is we know that people still have concerns. I want to ease those fears. I want to make sure that you understand what the data is saying when it comes to understanding the housing market and having that confidence today. Because as people see prices rising, they start to fear that it's just like the last time, and it simply isn't true. If you're still renting right now and thinking, should I buy a home? If you're thinking about it, you're watching prices rise, you're not sure if you should buy right now, and you're thinking, there could be a bubble. So let's have that conversation around net worth, because net worth is really a game changer. And the data that I'm about to show you really paints a very strong picture for homeowners and potential homeowners when you're thinking about the long-term financial benefits of owning a home. There's a stability, there's security, that emotional American dream of home ownership that's so important. But as this quote says, with inventory at an all-time low, buyers are still having a difficult time finding a home. If you're feeling like you're not sure if you want to stay in this game because it's a tough road right now and prices are rising and you're having a hard time finding the right home, one thing that's really important is for you to see the net worth of a homeowner versus a renter. And this data from last year, from 2021, it's the latest NAR report. It shows that the average net worth of a homeowner today is $300,000. The average net worth of a renter is just $8,000. Think about that for a second. $300,000 versus $8,000. If you're talking about building that financial future, really thinking towards that long-term goal of home ownership, and look at the data, the history that shows how much homes have appreciated over the last 5 to 30 years even, that's a differentiator of net worth. There's really something I want to remind you of, especially for those that are renting and you're thinking, I could buy right now, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to see if prices fall. I'm going to see if mortgage rates drop. We know we're not in an environment that's projected to happen. So buying now and getting that net worth journey started towards home ownership is such a game changer for your future. And I think another way to look at this is a really powerful one as well. It says that net worth of a typical homeowner is about 40 times the net worth of a renter. 40 times, that's huge. So the numbers don't lie, and this enables you to have some powerful conversations and to really think about, is it time to buy? Homeownership has always been an important way to build wealth, and I think this data shows this loud and clear. That's 40 times greater the net worth of a homeowner. It's a game changer. So when we look at the big picture and we say home prices are rising, they are still accelerating. They're projected to continue to rise. And that is the direct reflection of supply and demand. You know that people have concerns about the housing bubble, but when we look at the data, look at the fundamentals of the market, we're simply not seeing that. You see the rising prices and you feel the rising mortgage rates. You just don't forget that net worth component that really drives your financial future. 40 times greater for a homeowner versus a renter. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you find this information helpful. I look forward to seeing you back here again next month. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss anything.